Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy. Westbank in South Africa is discriminating against black clients versus their counter-white clients and making the black clients pay a higher interest rate. Listen to this.
How have you, since making the call in 2019 on your Twitter account and receiving, I believe, about 700 emails, how have you managed to put a case together to prove that there's been discrimination against black clients? How have you, since making the call in 2019 on your Twitter account and receiving, I believe, about 700 emails, how have you managed to put a case together to prove that there's been discrimination against black clients?
Let me give you a little bit of a background on it. I think that's and also for the listeners. In 2019, a whistleblower who used to be the manager at Westbank, phoned me and informed me that Westbank is charging black people a much higher interest rate than white. What I did at that moment in time, I posted on Twitter for every person, white or black, that got a loan account with Westbank to forward me the contracts. I received 160 black people's contracts and approximately 60. Now let me get the figures right. I received 600. I received 160. 160 contracts of blacks and 50 of whites. And from that, I could see, and I was totally shocked to see this, that black people are paying up to 19% interest rate and whites approximately average 11.25%.
Right.
That is a massive 8.75% more.
Yeah.
Now, if I can relate what this means, this means the average loan is 350,000 Rand. At 19%, the black clients will pay over the term 1,000 Rand more interest. And their installments will be approximately 8,000 Rand compared to 6,000 Rand of whites. That is basically, if you work out, it's about 25% higher.
Yeah.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I am your host, King 053, Mr. Easy Imali, Enengi, and we're back at it again with another one. Well, there is absolutely no surprise to the news that I just broke. It is everyone is speaking about it. Wherever you go, you hear black clients complaining about their loan interest. You know, you're paying a loan for 7 years, you're paying a loan for 5 years, you're paying a loan for 3 years, of which you could have been paying for a much faster time. But because of the affordability and the Westbank screwing you up, those who buy cars know that Westbank does not waste time when it comes to awarding loans to black clients for insurance vehicle, not insurance vehicle, but to buy a car. You understand what I'm saying? For some instances, even to buy a house. You see, in the house market, they try to limit us. But if they give you a house, you're going to pay about 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10% more interest rate than your white counterpart. Now, ladies and gentlemen, none of these politicians, especially the ANC, can tell me that they're going to do something about this. We spoke about the rand manipulation, where the Competition Commission was investigating 28 banks that were manipulating the rands. This was since 2007 to 2013, and the case came out. Some banks came out to say, okay, we are guilty, because they found a WhatsApp group where these banks manipulated the currency of a country, specifically South Africa, in order to favor them in exchange rates. Okay, so now what happened is that about 25 of those banks were cleared because of lack of evidence, because our competition commission lawyers, they were not good enough to bring about evidence. There's about 4 of them that is still left in that case, of which 2 have already admitted to guilt. You understand what I'm saying? So we have now a situation where that case is running on the side. It's running on the side. Well, that case is still running on the side. This case comes out and says Westbank is charging black clients a higher interest rate than white people. We are not surprised, like I said. Back in some time, when was it? A few years ago, not a few years ago, many years ago, more than 10 years ago, Special Assignment played a program where they were showing the contracts of people who bought houses, who got a loan to build a house, a house loan, and it showed that they were paying crazy amount. And this was part of a place where I come from in KwaMhlanga. You guys have seen the beautiful houses of KwaMhlanga and how most of them are very well built. They look expensive. It looks like a big suburb, but it's a township. Those people came out in the news. I remember Mr. Mabena was there. They were saying we are paying too much of a high interest rate. Today, a white man, and we can't say thank you to this white man that has now come out to expose Westbank, because there are black people who are working in Westbank who are also approving and disapproving the loans, because at the final stage of approving a loan, there is a place where you must fill in your race. And once they see black, they put in this particular interest rate. When they see white, they put a lower interest rate. As we speak, as Africans, we need a bank that is rightfully ours. By ours, I mean state-owned banks. State-owned banks will definitely reduce the interest rate of private-owned banks. It will drastically reduce them. If you are paying 17% and white people are paying 11%, at a state-owned bank you'll probably pay 7% or 5%, because the state will be able to back its debt up. But now on the white banks, and I've always asked myself, why is it that bank repos, the cars that banks repossessed, why are they so cheap at the auction? The reason they are so cheap at the auction is because the client who has failed to continue with the agreement of the installment has already paid the amount. You know, people return cars after 3 years. They can't afford the 7-year car, the loan that they took for 7 years. They return the car after 3 years. After that 3 years, you have already paid the value of the car over. That's why they can take that car, take it to the bank auction, and then there the car is sold for almost nothing. And you ask yourself, why is it this car is sold for peanuts? It's because the black clients that have been paying there have already paid. Politicians, the ANC, specifically in South Africa, has failed to build a black-owned bank. Because we need a certificate from the Reserve Bank. We don't even own our Reserve Bank. Countries like Mozambique own banks. The government owns banks here in South Africa. And look, the government owns bank in Mozambique. The unemployment rate is less than 5%. The unemployment rate in South Africa is more than 50% amongst the youth. You understand what I'm saying? So if we don't build the state-owned banks, we can never, ever complain about these banks because we want to. We go there because we need credit. There is a thing such as good credit. A house loan is a good credit. A car loan, ask me, is not. You're just wasting your time with a car loan. But what are you going to do because you need transportation? So we are in a situation where now we want to see what are politicians going to do about this. Absolutely nothing. No power. That is why we need to vote wise. In the manifesto of the ANC, did you hear them speaking about owning a state-owned bank? We don't even want to listen to them. It's been 30 years they're in power. They had Postbank. They could have changed Postbank into a full functional banks with ATMs because almost every town, every small little village, there is a post bank. The post banks are closing up in South Africa because of maladministration and corruption. People, there was a time where a post bank officer raped someone, a client in one of the offices. Crazy things like that. These are the things that are happening in our state-owned facilities. Now we have a situation where we have to vote for a party that speaks about a state-owned bank. State-owned bank. You had the Rise Mzansi. They had a beautiful manifesto. They didn't say a word about state-owned banks, unless if I missed it. But I listened to the majority of the speech. He didn't say let's own banks. They spoke about how rand manipulation has impacted people, but nobody's saying we need to punish these white-owned companies. They are leeching on top of black clients and eating all the money. They are not going to do anything, ladies and gentlemen. You vote for the DA, you will never have a state-owned bank. Never. It will never happen. You understand what I'm saying to you guys? Mkhonto Wesizwe, the EFF, the ATM. Who else am I forgetting? Those are the only three parties I know that are very vocal about the bank sector, the financial sector. Westbank is making us pay more, ladies and gentlemen. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do, excuse me? What are we going to do about Westbank making black clients pay more? Let me tell you, in 2 or 3 days, not weeks, 3 or 4 days, we would have forgotten about this because we black people are used to suffering in silence. That's what we do best. We suffer in silence. We suffer in silence. What are we going to do about it? You guys tell me. Excuse me about that. Let me just put this phone on vibrate. Very disappointed, but actually not surprised. Not surprised at all. Westbank it has been doing this for years. I'm estimating it has been doing this since the dawn of democracy. That's my estimate because that's when my township started developing in Mpumalanga. Beautiful township, and everyone was getting home loans like nobody's business, and all of them, including my mother, was from Westbank. It was from Westbank. You understand what I'm saying? It was from Westbank. So I just want to hear your thoughts on the comment section, just to to pick your brain and hear, is there a solution for this type of problems? I mean, aside from the state building its own bank, is there enough punishment that we can give to this bank as a warning, a strict warning that they must not continue doing this? Because these banks are being audited. Every month, every financial year, these banks, every quarter, their financials are being audited, but nobody says anything to come to the aid of black people. Absolutely nobody. Nobody. A white man has to come out and speak on our behalf. When black directors, black managers are working in these banks and approving those bank loan in high interest rates, they are approving them. We have to get help from a white person. Very disappointed, ladies and gentlemen. Well, until we meet next time, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan-Africanism. I salute you.